Coming in at number 10, Alexis Sharkey. Alexis Sharkey was an Instagram influencer and Monat mentor who moved to Houston, Texas in January of 2020. In November of last year, after a trip to Mexico, friends and family began to get worried when they hadn't heard from her. Alexis was officially reported missing on November 27th, and the last time she was seen was when she left her house after having an argument with her husband. Of course, people were searching and trying to figure out where Alexis was, but no one was able to locate her. Shortly after this, an employee from the city of Houston was driving and saw some feet sticking out of the bush. This worker, of course, called the authorities, and when they arrived on the scene, they were able to confirm that they had sadly found Alexis, but she had passed away. Since this discovery, there has been, of course, plenty of speculation around what may have happened. Authorities have been able to confirm her cause of death, and the case has gone from missing person case to an investigation and to search for the person who took Alexis's life. Many speculate her husband, but there hasn't been any proof of that to release to the public. Hopefully soon we will have the answers as to what really happened to Alexis so the family can receive the closure they deserve.
In our number 9 spot today, we have Ready Set Glamour. Ready Set Glamour was a beauty guru and YouTuber who totally disappeared from social media a few years ago. Her fans were already wondering where she went and what had happened to her, but when the entire channel closed, it only made people more worried. You guys know how these things go, and of course her fans began swirling rumors of what happened and where she went. I don't have any concrete answers, but there are two main theories. The first is that she felt as though she needed to take time off because she was apparently pregnant. This is of course totally reasonable that she would want to focus on her growing family, and maybe what was supposed to be a break just naturally turned into a decision to leave the spotlight entirely. The other theory is that she may have been going through a divorce at the time and needed to focus on herself. This is of course another perfectly reasonable explanation that we can definitely all understand, especially if she was also pregnant at the time. I wish I had a solid answer for you guys, but I also totally respect her privacy. Wherever she is, I hope she is doing well and that she is happy. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far, because it really helps us out.
A person was a YouTuber who posted just a bunch of everyday videos that were kind of vlog style, many of which featured his very cute dog or other members of his family. His frequent uploads became quite a bit less frequent before he stopped posting altogether in late 2016. Because of the fact that there weren't any other social media linked to his account, his disappearance from the platform left a lot of people wondering what could have happened to him, as there were limited resources to figure that out. Some people speculated that he may have just decided he didn't want to make videos anymore, but some were worried something worse had happened, especially since one of his last videos was about how he thought a ghost was following him. Unfortunately, I don't have a concrete answer for what exactly happened, but the good news is that I am pretty sure I know where he went. It seems as though the YouTuber Matt Ophelia is a person. This is kind of weird considering the account of Matt Ophelia was made long before a person, but the two people on both accounts look very similar, which leads me to believe that this is the same person.
In our number 7 spot today, we have I Will Bot. I Will Bot was a YouTube account that featured the pianist Will Ting, and I know everyone's gonna be like, she said penis. And it basically just consisted of a ton of piano videos and covers. Will was well loved by his fans and subscribers, so they were rightfully all a little sad when his uploads became less frequent before they just stopped altogether in 2015. The good news for a while was that he continued to post on his Instagram, but even that account hasn't seen a post since 2018, so where could he have gone? I unfortunately am not really sure what exactly happened or where he went, but there is a lot of speculation. I think the most common theory, and the one that I'm hoping for, is that his regular life just got too busy to continue his social media presence, or perhaps he just lost his passion for creating content. Whatever really happened, wherever Will is, I hope that he is doing well.
Next up at number 6, we have Jessica Stein. Jessica Stein is an Instagram model from Australia who has left fans extremely worried. Jessica, who goes by the Instagram name Tula Vintage, stopped uploading after she posted it in January of 2020. Her final post, which came over a year ago, was to do with the Australian fires, which, as we now know, were just the beginning of an extremely tumultuous year globally. Jessica was known for her photos of her traveling the world in beautiful designer clothes, and she was one of the first influencers who made her living solely from sponsored posting, so it was of course very strange when she stopped posting altogether. Still, in March of 2021, we haven't had an update from her or anyone in the family, which has left many people guessing. Jessica has a beautiful young daughter named Rumi who suffers from an extremely rare chromosome disorder. Apparently, it's so rare that only 10 living people have ever been diagnosed with it, because it usually causes a miscarriage before the baby can be born. Many people believe that Rumi and her health struggles might be the reason Jessica is off social media. It is entirely possible that maybe she just needed more time to focus on her daughter, and I think that is something we can all understand and appreciate. I hope one day Jessica gives us all an update so we can hear how both her and Rumi are doing, and I truly am wishing them all the best.
In our number 5 spot today, we have Wang Xiaozheng. Wang was an influencer, environmentalist, and explorer who was dubbed as the Tibetan adventurer, but he was also well known as Glacier Bro. Wang first got into his travels after seeing a tourism video for a snow-capped mountain, and since then he visited tons and tons of glaciers where he took videos and photos, which he of course posted on his social media accounts so everyone could come on his journeys with him. Wang even spoke at the UN Climate Change Conference a few years ago when he detailed his first-hand accounts of the quickly melting glaciers. On December 20th of 2020, Wang was exploring a glacial waterfall when he disappeared. Unfortunately, it seemed as though he must have fallen into the rushing icy water, where he most likely got trapped under a sheet of ice on the surface of the water. Wang was pretty quickly presumed dead because of the nature of his disappearance, but of course authorities and family and friends continued to search in hopes of some sort of closure. On March 18th, just a few days ago from the time we are filming this video, authorities ended up finding a body that they believe belongs to Wang. They have not yet confirmed the identity, but it is sadly most likely him. After Wang's disappearance, his brother posted on his social media accounts saying, "My brother lies forever in his favorite waterfall. For all of his life he was obsessed with glaciers and gave his life to the glaciers. This is the best resting place for him."
Alright, coming in at number 4, we have Nikki Donnelly. Nikki Donnelly was a woman from Toronto who was known for documenting her travels experiences on Instagram. Earlier this year, Nikki was hiking a mountain trail just north of Vancouver when she went missing. Nikki was known to go on these adventures by herself, so it wasn't unusual that she was alone when she disappeared. Before going missing, she had posted about reaching the summit of the mountain, but was on her way back down where things went awry. Nikki actually called a friend to explain that she was lost, as she had strayed from the trail on her way down. This friend quickly contacted a search and rescue team, but Nikki's call came at 3:20 p.m., which meant that nightfall was quickly approaching, and this happened in the winter, so of course with nighttime comes some bitterly cold Canadian weather and a lot of snow, which made the rescue team's night vision equipment less than efficient. Despite the rescue team's best efforts, Nikki wasn't found until the next morning, and by that time she had unfortunately passed away. Nikki is remembered as a very bright spirit and someone who was welcoming and warm to every person she encountered.
In our number 3 spot today, we have Lim Ji-hyun. Lim was a North Korean soldier who risked her life to escape her country and live a free life. This was in 2014, and she was 23 at the time and ended up in Seoul, South Korea, where she began her social media career. She was funny and extremely likable in her videos, where she detailed both her past life along with her more current adventures. She was also known to speak out about her previous life and what living in North Korea was like for her. In April of 2017, on her 26th birthday, she wrote on her blog, "This is possibly the happiest birthday of my life. Thank you to all the fans who love me. You give me the courage to keep speaking out." Shortly after this day, Lim disappeared. Her social media accounts stopped seeing their frequent uploads, and at first her friends thought she had just gone on some kind of a shopping trip, but when she didn't return for quite some time, they contacted the authorities. Because of the nature of her escape from North Korea and the fact that she had a large platform where she discussed the issues that the country faced, the missing persons case was considered very serious. 3 months after her disappearance, however, Lim was seen in a video that was posted to a North Korean propaganda site that is run by the government. In the video, she looked incredibly different, and she tearfully explained that she had left South Korea on her own accord, and between this video and the 2 others that were posted, she called herself human garbage and begged for forgiveness from Kim Jong-un. This is obviously all extremely suspicious, and unfortunately Lim has not been heard from since, which has of course left many people wondering what really happened here.
Coming in at number 2, Adriana Murrieta. In November of 2020, Instagram model Adriana Murrieta was reported missing by her family after she had flown to Guadalajara, Mexico. A search, of course, was quickly started, and it took a few days for the authorities to find anything. Eventually, however, authorities found Adriana, but she had very sadly passed away. The circumstances surrounding her death have been very suspicious from the get-go, and it was clear to authorities that foul play was definitely involved. There has been plenty of review of different surveillance cameras that she was caught on in an attempt to figure out what exactly happened to her, but as far as we know, there haven't been any charges laid in connection to this crime. The last time she was seen was when she was getting into the car that was picking her up from the airport after her flight. She apparently knew the driver of the vehicle, but I am not sure who this driver was or if they are a suspect. I hope one day we get to hear a conclusion of this story so that her family can receive closure, and because whoever committed this horrible crime most definitely needs to be brought to justice.
In our number 1 spot today, we have Karina Karaglanova. Karina was a Russian travel blogger who had a large Instagram following where she took her followers along with her on her very lavish adventures. In 2019, Karina's family reported her missing after they were unable to get a hold of her for quite some time. The landlord of Karina was contacted and the family asked to search her apartment. Eventually, however, they did locate the body of Karina, and it was the worst news that they never expected to receive. Unfortunately, someone had taken her life, and there are some pretty gruesome and horrifying details surrounding that. An investigation was immediately launched to figure out what exactly happened and who did this. While I'm not exactly sure what conclusion this story has, the last updates I was able to find came from 2019 when authorities released very little details about the prime suspect in the case. They never disclosed his identity, but they said he was a 33-year-old acquaintance who had grown jealous after learning Karina planned to go on a holiday with another man. I'm not sure if he ended up being arrested and charged with the crime or not, but I hope one day we get a solid conclusion to this story.
Now starting off at number 10, we have the Teen Town Explorers. Apparently, urban exploration has had a big impact on teens because in this town it happens quite often. In July of 2018, 2 young boys in Northampton decided to explore underneath their town. After exploring for a while, they found themselves lost in a maze of drains. Now, Northampton's sewer system is actually known to be quite complicated, and it's referred to as caverns. After being lost in there for several hours, they were rescued. Thankfully, this rescue team was able to locate their whereabouts and help them out of the tunnels. Bad news is, they didn't smell the greatest after all this happened. In our 9th spot, we have the French cave explorer. Eric Estebly was a 45-year-old diver known for his cave explorations. He had an ongoing mission to complete a map of the Ardèche Gorge's underground tunnel system. Apparently, Eric went missing for over a week. A rescue team composed of divers went out looking for Eric. They hoped that Eric would be found alive, as an expert reported that he would have been able to last at least 15 days underwater if he had sufficient air. However, sadly that was not the case for Eric, and he drowned. Since Eric was an established diver, people don't know what happened. Did he get lost? Did he have trouble escaping the cave? No one knows. For number 8, we have the Belgian explorers. Last year, 3 Belgian explorers aged 30 to 40 years old went into the Rubicara Mortora de Estrana cave complex in Cantabria, Spain. While exploring underground, they became disoriented and lost their bearings. When this team had been missing for over 12 hours, the authorities were called in. Specialized cave explorers were then called in to go and find these missing explorers. Now, this news report gives no additional information after that. We don't know if the team had been found and rescued. Bringing in number 7, we have the Wiltshire Explorers. This group of explorers got lost in a mine. How? Well, it was because of a very interesting circumstance. These explorers were searching the abandoned box mine in Wiltshire, England. This mine is filled with 100 feet deep tunnels. After exploring for several hours, they realized that they were lost. The reason for them becoming lost? Well, the arrows in the mine were all vandalized over with pictures of the male downstairs region. These explorers went missing for almost a day before stumbling upon an area in the mine with cell phone reception. From there, they were able to request for help. At number 6, we have the Paris Catacomb Explorers. The Paris Catacombs are a series of tunnels located under Paris, France. In the 18th century, the catacombs were created when the Paris cemeteries were full and they needed a place to bury the dead. As a result, they buried the dead underground in this series of tunnels. There is approximately 150 miles of tunnels in a maze-like fashion, making it extremely easy to get lost. Now, a portion of these tunnels are still accessible today and have attracted a number of explorers. This was the case for 2 teenage boys. The 16 and 17-year-old boys snuck illegally into the tunnels to the section that was blocked off from the public. And for a good reason too. Not only is it extremely easy for you to get lost with the numerous pathways, but there are also 6 million people buried there. This will definitely make you super uneasy while exploring. These boys were missing for 3 full days. Finally, the authorities, along with their team of rescue dogs, found the boys in the tunnel. Thankfully, they both survived, only suffering from hypothermia. It could have ended much worse. In our 5th and halfway spot, we have the Ghost Town Explorers. Now, what's scarier than a ghost town? A haunted ghost town. Back in 2019, 3 explorers by the name of Vignesh, Kashvishka, and Mohammed. These explorers were all in their early 20s and they went for an adventure to explore the ghost town in United Arab Emirates. This ghost town was located in the middle of a desert, which made it hard for them to get to. In fact, their car was having trouble driving in the thick sand, so they abandoned it and continued the journey by foot. I mean, even I could have told them how bad of an idea that was. However, they successfully located the town and explored the empty homes, some of which were still completely furnished. As night approached, they all started to get an uneasy feeling and decided to head back to their car. That was until they couldn't locate it. I guess they couldn't have just used their keys to beep for their car. That's what I do when I forget where I parked. Does anyone else do that? They stated that all of the sand dunes started to look the same and they didn't know what direction to travel in. Eventually, they were able to contact the police for help, who were able to locate their car, and they made sure that they got home safely. In our 4th spot, we have the Rock House Mine Explorers. This next story shows that even when you travel in a group, the outcome can still be quite scary. Erica Tidway, Kayla Williams, and Cody Beverly were all young adults who set out to explore the Rock House Powellton Mine in the town of Clear Creek, Virginia. Now, to get into this abandoned mine, they had to crawl through a small ventilation shaft in the mine. While exploring this mine, it is said that they got lost and were walking around in the pitch black. When these individuals did not return home, a search party was sent out for them. These explorers were missing for 5 days when they were found inside the mines. Erica was found first, separated from her 2 friends, and 30 minutes later, Kayla and Cody were found together. After this, a statement was released warning urban explorers to stop entering abandoned mines. Please guys, stop going there. They're very dangerous. Coming in at number 3, we have the Odessa Catacombs. Now, let's travel over to the city of Odessa in the Ukraine. Odessa is known for their labyrinth-type tunnels that are under their city, similar to the Paris catacombs. Now, little information is actually available on these catacombs or the next story. Around New Year's, a group of friends, including a young girl named Masha, went out to the catacombs. It is said that they were looking for treasure and also may have been drinking that night. Now, these catacombs are fairly dangerous, as some sections flood with water, others have collapsing ceilings, and some are just completely dismantled. Apparently, the teens stayed down there all night, and in the morning when they went to head home, Masha was nowhere to be found. They believe that she may have wandered to a different location in the tunnels. She was missing for more than 4 months until a group of boys came across what they thought could be Masha. This image is actually fairly graphic. However, that body was never analyzed or confirmed to be hers. In our 2nd spot, we have the mystery of Kenny Veach. Kenny Veach was an urban explorer who often posted about his journeys on YouTube on his channel Snakebit McGee. He loved hiking and being outdoors. On November 10th, 2014, Kenny disappeared. He told his family he was going on a trip to the mountains in Nevada. 1 month prior to this adventure, Kenny discovered a cave in the Nevada desert, which he shares on his YouTube channel. Kenny states that he found a hidden cave with an opening of the shape of an M. He is known to cave explore, but he said that when he entered this cave, he began to vibrate and got very scared. He claimed that it was one of the strangest things that have ever happened to him. But Kenny was intrigued and wanted to eventually explore that cave. When Kenny did go back to that cave, that was the last time he was ever seen. Since the desert is so big and filled with caves, it was hard to figure out what cave Kenny was referring to in his video. As a result, search parties never located him. The only thing that they did find was Kenny's cell phone near a mine shaft about a week later after he disappeared. Nothing else has surfaced, and Kenny's disappearance still remains a huge mystery. And in our number 1 spot, we have the unidentified explorer. Now, the Paris catacombs once again show their complexity and darkness with this explorer. Now, unlike the other explorers, this man was never even identified. No one knows who he is or what actually happened. So basically, around 1990, an old dusty moldy camcorder was found in the Paris catacombs. Although the camera appeared to have been there for a while, the footage on it was still accessible and very disturbing. This man can be seen exploring the catacombs. This black and white video starts off in a calm manner as he wanders around the maze looking at bones and even picking up a skull and analyzing it. However, the video takes a twist when he encounters a painting of a figure on the wall with their limbs spread apart. After this discovery, the man becomes more frantic, and we don't know why. People think maybe he realized that he was lost, or he felt like something ghostly was following him. Either way, this footage is very disturbing as he is filming his final moments. The video eventually cuts off and the whereabouts of this man are unknown. Starting off this countdown, we have Pratima Mandal. TikTok influencer Pratima disappeared after performing a show in Delhi on January 2nd in 2020. That was also the last day she spoke to her husband. After that, her phone was switched off and never turned back on. Her husband alerted the authorities after she hadn't returned from Delhi. Apparently on January 15th, she had another show, but in a different location. Of course, she didn't show up to the show. Now that's all the information we know. Pratima is still missing and we don't know what happened to her after her show on January 2nd. It's also hard to come up with theories as to what may have happened to her because there's hardly any information about her case online. In our 9th spot, we have Lisa Nova. And guys, here's just your little friendly reminder to hit that thumbs up button because it really helps us out. Lisa Nova, or Lisa Donovan, created her YouTube channel back in 2006 and used it as a platform to post her comedy sketches on. Shortly after launching her channel, a casting director from Mad TV saw one of her videos and asked her to audition for the show. In 2007, she made her appearance on a sketch in the show. In 2011, she just stopped making YouTube videos. She hasn't been heard from since. Besides her random cameo in the 2015 movie The Wedding Ringer, seems like she's just moved on from her YouTube sketch comedy days. In our 8th spot, we have Kasper Przybylski, and I'm so sorry, I know I pronounced his name wrong. So he was a 22-year-old Belgian YouTuber, but on October 23rd, 2020, he disappeared without a trace. On the day, he left his parents' home around 4. That was the last time he was ever seen. He went missing for a week. Police had no leads and no one knew where he was. Sadly, a fisherman was out fishing in a canal one morning when he saw a body in the water. It was later found to be Kasper's. There was no indication of foul play, so they believe he jumped into the river and took his own life. Sadly, that's all the information we know on this case. Coming in at number 7, we have Asenna O'Neil. Asenna O'Neil was an Instagram influencer before people even knew what that was. She grew up on Instagram. She joined the platform when she was only 14, and by 19 she was getting paid for her posts, and being an influencer was her full-time job. But in 2015, she left all of her social media accounts behind. On YouTube, there is now only 3 videos up. The last one is titled Why I Really Am Quitting. Now, people originally thought that her online disappearance was just a publicity stunt and that she would be back in a couple of weeks. But no, she abandoned it for good. She disappeared completely off of social media. In our 6th spot, we have Kenny Veach. Kenny Veach was a pretty famous YouTuber back in the day, and he was a pretty big urban explorer influencer. He was known for his YouTube channel Snakebit McGee.
Well, here I am on my hike up here in the mountains north of Las Vegas.
On November 10th, 2014, Kenny disappeared without a trace. He told his family he was going on a trip to the mountains in Nevada, but he never returned home. Now, here's where it gets strange. 1 month prior to this adventure, Kenny discovered a cave in the Mojave Desert, which he shared on his YouTube channel. In the video, Kenny claims that he found this hidden cave with the opening in the shape of an M. He is known to cave explore, but said that when he entered the cave, it began to vibrate and he got really scared. He claimed that it was one of the strangest things to happen to him. but Kenny was intrigued and wanted to eventually go back and explore the cave. When Kenny did go on his journey back there, that was the last time he was ever seen. Now, since the desert is so big and filled with a number of caves, it was hard to figure out what cave Kenny was referring to. As a result, search parties never located him. The only thing they did find was Kenny's cell phone near a mine shaft about a week later after he disappeared. Nothing else has surfaced, and Kenny's disappearance still remains a huge mystery. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Hannah Minks. Hannah Minks, or Hannah Wagner, was known for cosplaying as anime characters, and sometimes she would provide her audience with some Japanese lessons. She was doing pretty well for herself and had quite a loyal following. But in 2013, she disappeared without a trace. The last video she uploaded onto her YouTube was a video from San Diego Comic-Con in 2013. Then, that was it. She was gone from all social media platforms. Fans were worried for her. In fact, there was a story going around that she was kidnapped or had passed away. I mean, she left without even saying goodbye. It was just all of a sudden with no warning signs. But apparently she is now actually married with children. So I guess she just got tired of YouTube and moved on. Moving on to number 4, we have Paul Zimmer. Okay, this next case is crazy. So basically, back in the day, there was a famous Musical.ly star known as Paul Zimmer. Over the course of a few years, he got millions of followers on Musical.ly. But in 2018, he got into a pretty big scandal and was accused of scamming his audience and taking their money. As a result, he basically disappeared off of the face of the earth. Then out of nowhere in 2020, he comes back and posts about how he has this look-alike, some actor named Troy Becker. He then tells all his followers he's given over his social media account to Troy because he didn't just want his page to die. Then Paul disappeared without a trace and Troy took his spot. Here's the thing, Paul is Troy. He's just making it seem like Troy is just someone else that looks identical to him. But fans weren't fooled by this. Seems like he created Troy as a way to escape his past, yet still remain in the spotlight. That's just kinda messed up. But Paul is gone forever and now it's all about Troy. In our 3rd spot, we have Marina Joyce. Marina Joyce was a pretty popular beauty blogger from London, but in 2016, fans noticed that she was acting fairly strange in her YouTube videos. In one video titled Date Outfit Ideas, you can see that Marina does not seem like herself and she's acting fairly strange.
Hey guys, so today I'm advertising Style You and I'm advertising their clothes. So this is me just advertising their clothes, and yeah, I love you guys so much. It's the clothing company that I'm advertising.
Many believe that she had been kidnapped. In fact, in one of the videos, fans noticed that there was a gun in the background. In another video, she had bruises all over her arms. And in another one, she whispered, "Help me." Then in 2019, she went missing without a trace. Now, she was only missing for 10 days, but we don't know where Marina went, disappeared to, and why. In our 2nd spot, we have Alexis Sharkey. Last year, 26-year-old Instagram influencer Alexis Sharkey disappeared after spending Thanksgiving with her friends in Houston. The next day, her family was notified that she was missing. No one had heard from her for over 24 hours, and her family and friends were growing concerned. They immediately got police involved, but they were unable to locate Alexis. No one knew where she went. She just disappeared without a trace. That was until a sanitation worker saw something strange at the side of the road. It was Alexis's bare body. That was the last thing anyone wanted. They all prayed to find her alive. After months of waiting, police finally revealed that her cause of death was by strangulation. Sadly, her killer hasn't been caught. And in our number 1 spot, we have Jessica Steen. Jessica Steen was a well-known Instagram model. She shared travel and fashion posts and posted something on Instagram almost every day. So fans were quite worried when all of a sudden the posts stopped. Since January 4th of 2020, there has been no signs of Jessica. She has millions of followers. It's quite strange that she would just abandon her page like that. Now, Jessica did share pictures of her young daughter who suffers from a rare chromosomal abnormality. So fans think her absence might have something to do with her daughter. On her posts, people are commenting saying things like, "It's been a long time since you've been on IG. I hope you and your family are well." they're concerned something bad has happened to her.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have Dor Bahadur Bista. Dor was a very well-respected anthropologist from Nepal. He was best known for his work with the Takali traders and also for his time as a professor at a university in Nepal. While he was known to go trekking off into the wilderness in order to conduct his research in private, he was, after all, an anthropologist, so he certainly couldn't go totally off the map where there were no other humans at all. In 1995, Dor had published a book and was feeling a little anxious about some of the negative reviews it was getting. Dor was no stranger to criticism or enemies, as many people did not like him due to the fact that he was trying to help empower people who were in a lower class. Before his disappearance, Dor told one of his friends that he was fearing for his safety and that he was considering leaving in order to ensure that nothing bad happened to him. A few weeks after this conversation, somebody saw him boarding a bus, and this was the last time anyone has seen or heard from him. It's obviously very tough to say what happened to him for sure. He had a wife and children who he left behind, and part of me hopes he didn't abandon them, but part of me also hopes he didn't meet some kind of cruel end. I hope that one day someone can figure out what happened and where he went so that his children can be offered some kind of closure. In our number 9 spot today, we have Boris Weisfeiler. Boris Weisfeiler was a Soviet-born mathematician who was living in Pennsylvania. One winter in 1985, he decided to take a nice little trip to southern Chile to do some hiking and escape the bitter cold. Unfortunately, this is where he ended up disappearing. The last time anyone saw or heard from Boris was in January of that year, and not too long after his last sighting, his backpack was found by a river. This discovery had many people speculating that he may have drowned while trying to cross the river, which is just terrible. But since a body has never been found, there are of course people out there who speculate further. Some people out there believe that Boris may have been abducted. Apparently in 2000, there was enough evidence of a kidnapping that 8 different people were actually arrested and charged with the crime. In the end, however, the case was closed due to the statute of limitations, which seems like that shouldn't have been a factor, but I guess it was. This is just one unsolved mystery that I hope one day we find the answers to. In a number 8 spot today, we have Ernest Preisner. Ernest Preisner was a biologist who was particularly interested in studying pheromones, even more specifically the pheromones of clearwings. His research and studies actually led to the discovery of several new species, and he was able to synthetically create a set of 21 pheromones which was able to attract almost all types of winged bugs. Honestly, I didn't know that this was something that people dedicated their lives to, but it sounds very complicated and kinda cool. In July of 1994, Ernest was collaborating on some research, and he went out to check one of the insect traps that was in the mountains of Garmisch-Partenkirchen, but unfortunately, he never made it back. Search parties were sent out, but no one was ever able to find him, and since he had gone alone, it's not like there was anybody who could testify as to what happened to him. Ernest is sadly still missing today, and I truly hope that one day we find out what happened to him on that day. In our number 7 spot today, we have Natalie Christopher. In August of 2019, an astrophysicist by the name of Natalie Christopher went missing after going out for a run during her visit to a Greek island. Her partner was on the trip with her, and when he awoke one morning, Natalie wasn't in the room anymore. He called her and she stated she was out for a run, which of course is totally normal, but when she didn't return for several hours after, alarm bells definitely began to ring. After contacting authorities, searches began to take place immediately, hoping to find Natalie and bring her home safe. A few days after her disappearance, authorities explained that her cell phone had been switched off. After police, fire, pedestrian, and helicopter searches, Natalie's body was eventually found. She was found in a ravine that was in a rough mountainous area approximately 20 meters deep in the water. After a full inspection of the site and an autopsy, her injuries were consistent with a fall in which she had suffered a head trauma. This is obviously a very tragic ending to this story, but I am at least glad that her loved ones were able to receive some kind of closure for this terrible situation. In our number 6 spot today, we have Pang Jiamu. The Lopner Desert is known for its aggressive impressive landscape. It has soft riverbeds and sand dunes that are known to shift. It's definitely not uncommon for an entire hillside to collapse, burying everything underneath it. This brings us to June 17, 1980, when Pang Jiamu, who is a biologist at the Shanghai Institute of Biochemistry and Cell Biology, and some of his colleagues were on an expedition in this desert. That morning, Pang noticed that they were running short on some supplies. He left a note stating that he was heading out to look for water, and he left, but he was never seen again. There was a huge search for him that involved soldiers, helicopters, police, and their dogs, but unfortunately neither Pang or his body have ever been found. Many people believe that he may have been the victim of one of those hillside collapses, but in all honesty, it could have been anything. Other expeditions have come across bodies in this desert, none of which have been Pang so far, but I hope that one day someone is able to find him. In our number 5 spot today, we have Timothy Cunningham. Timothy Cunningham was a Harvard-educated epidemiologist who worked for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention before his disappearance in February of 2018. He was 35 years old at the time and was working on tackling both the Ebola and Zika outbreaks. On February 7th, he resigned from a special deployment team that he was working with. His boss explained that he would have tried to convince him to stay for a few more months, but that Timothy just seemed too ready to move on. Timothy left work on February 12th saying that he was feeling unwell, but a coworker has since explained that this was shortly after Timothy learned that he was being passed over for a promotion. The day before his disappearance, Timothy told his neighbors that they should erase his phone number from their phones. Searches for Timothy went on for almost 2 months, and during this time authorities found 4 separate bodies that did not end up being Timothy's. Eventually though, Timothy's body was found in a river and it was confirmed that he had drowned. After more investigation, it was determined that Timothy had unfortunately taken his own life. People who knew Timothy began to recount some of the struggles he had that could have led to this extremely tragic situation, but I also think it's worth mentioning that there are many people out there who believe some sort of foul play was actually involved and that it may have had to do with his line of work. It is a very sad ending to an already sad story, and I hope Timothy's family has been able to support each other during these undoubtedly difficult years. In our number 4 spot today, we have Percy Fawcett. Percy Fawcett set out in 1925 to search the Amazon jungle for what had yet to be discovered. As an archaeologist and geologist, he was looking for an ancient lost civilization called the Lost City of Z. Percy went on this adventure with his oldest son Jack, one of Jack's friends, and a couple dogs. Unfortunately, after entering the jungle, none of them were ever seen again. No trace was left, and no one has been able to find his body, despite it being almost a full century since he disappeared. Some people believe he may have been lost, perhaps he was injured, maybe he even had some kind of fatal animal encounter, but there are some people who believe he just decided to abandon his life to live a life in the jungle. At the end of the day, his lost city of Z kind of did end up existing, as archaeologists have discovered large stone cities that were hidden in the jungle pretty close to where Percy would have disappeared. It has also happened that many people who went on expeditions in this jungle did not end up making it out, so it's probably best to just stay away from that one. In our number 3 spot today, we have Suzanne Eaton. In 2019, an American biologist named Suzanne Eaton disappeared while she was in Greece. Suzanne was a scientist and professor at the Max Planck Institute of Molecular Cell Biology and Genetics in Dresden, Germany, but was in Greece at the time of her disappearance for a conference. On July 2nd of 2019, she was last seen playing the piano in the lobby of her hotel before it was believed she went out on a run, which is the last time she was spotted. It was believed for a while that she may have fallen and injured herself or something of that nature. Of course, authorities began a massive search, and it took about a week for them to find anything. On July 8th of that year, Suzanne's body was found in an older World War II bunker, and she unfortunately had been killed. This of course turned the search party into an investigation, which led to a 27-year-old Greek man who did end up confessing to this very terrible crime. In October of 2020, he was tried and found guilty, which then led to him being given a life sentence in prison. Since this terrible day, the Institute of Molecular Biotechnology in Austria has started a memorial fund in Suzanne's honor, which is aimed to support young scientists' endeavors in interdisciplinary topics. I truly think that this is a wonderful way to remember Suzanne. In our number 2 spot today, we have Vladimir Alexandrov. A Soviet physicist by the name of Vladimir Alexandrov made quite a name for himself himself when he came up with the mathematical model for nuclear winter. Nuclear winter is what is hypothesized will happen after large-scale nuclear war and firestorms, and it is the long and severe cooling effect that will happen to our global climate. So yeah, he's an important guy, and the concept is just absolutely terrifying. So that's a little bit about Vladimir, and in 1985 he was apparently visiting Madrid when he just up and vanished. No one really knows what happened to him, but there are a couple theories. The first being that since he was in Madrid, he might have chosen to abandon his country, which is why he was never heard from again. The second, crazier theory is that there are people who believe that the whole nuclear winter thing might have just been heavily promoted by Russia in order to convince people in the United States to protest against America and the nuclear weapons program. This theory ends with the KGB kidnapping Vladimir because he was going to expose the nuclear winter theory as being untrue, and they wanted to stop that from happening. I feel like they could have found a guy who actually believed in the theory to say he came up with this mathematical model for it, but hey, I'm not a scientist. Unfortunately, it is likely we may never know what exactly happened to him, unless Vladimir himself ends up finding a way to let us know. In our number 1 spot today we have Ettore Majorana. Ettore was an Italian physicist who was born on August 5th, 1906 and disappeared on March 25th, 1938 under some pretty mysterious circumstances. Ettore was very gifted with math from a young age, and when it was time for him to attend university, he studied engineering first before making the switch to physics. In 1933, he went to Germany and worked on the theory of the nucleus. In the fall of that same year, he returned home to Italy, but he was very sick. While in Germany, he developed acute gastritis and was also suffering from nervous exhaustion. He was immediately receiving medical treatment, which included being put on a very strict diet. This whole situation led him to become very isolated, and his reclusive nature only grew and grew over the years. For almost full 4 years, he shut himself off completely from friends and wasn't even publishing works. In March of 1938, he boarded a boat from Palermo and was headed to Naples, but he was never seen again. Before he headed to Palermo, he apparently withdrew all of his money from his bank account, and it was said that he had traveled there in the first place to visit a friend, but that friend was actually in California at the time. On the day that he disappeared, he also sent a letter to his boss that was basically just him quitting his job. And he also sent telegrams canceling any other plans that he had made. Some people believe that he may have taken his own life, others believe he escaped to Venezuela or Argentina, some people believe that he was kidnapped, and honestly the list just goes on. I wonder if we will ever be able to find out what truly happened to him that day. Starting off at our number 10 spot, we have Taylor with an E. Last year, near the end of the year, Taylor with an E posted a TikTok and then kind of ghosted the app for a while, and it had people super freaked out and wondering what happened. The video was of her in Germany, where she is not from, and there were some mysterious sounds from outside of the room that she was in. She was clearly really freaked out in the video, and when she stopped posting after, people began to speculate that something terrible might have happened to her. She commented a few times on her own video explaining that her sister had told her to never open the door for anyone in the area that they were in, and also that she was home alone for the next 2 hours, which obviously made her stressful situation even scarier. Well, we eventually heard from Taylor again, thank goodness, and while she hasn't actually addressed what happened to her on TikTok, it's good to know that she is safe. There is a rumor that people may have actually ended up breaking into the house, and that maybe she isn't allowed to speak about it if there's an investigation going on, but that has yet to be confirmed. In our number 9 spot today, we have Elle. The TikTok user SigsFR, whose name is Elle, gave her followers a huge scare earlier this year. Elle posted a video on TikTok of her bruised body, saying that she had been kidnapped. She said that she didn't know exactly where she was, but knew that she was somewhere in Arkansas. In the comments of a video, she said that she knew the man that had kidnapped her, and that his last name was Colarelli. And people on TikTok began contacting the Arkansas police. Elle also said that she would not be posting any more videos on TikTok because she said that she knew the man was about to take her life. People were absolutely freaking out and blowing the story up. People suspected the man she said is her kidnapper to be her ex-boyfriend, and people were also saying that she was using Morse code messages. Elle said that she couldn't call the police because her kidnapper would be able to hear the call, and this was the first red flag for people since there's a ton of ways to contact the authorities. The next red flag was the fact that Elle posted her Venmo, and people actually started donating. To get to the end of this story, basically the Arkansas State Police did end up investigating to find out what was going on, and they actually ended up finding Elle. It turns out she faked the whole thing. They haven't released a ton of details on exactly what was going on, but Elle has stopped posting on TikTok, which is probably the right move for now. I feel really bad for the people who were worried and who sent her money. In our number 8 spot today, we have LaCarica McNeil. Last year, 11-year-old Memphis resident LaCarica was reported missing. She was last seen on a weekend morning leaving her home and hadn't made any contact with her mom after that, which is obviously a great cause for concern because she's so young. She had apparently left her home with an older man that she had met on TikTok, which really just heightened the urgency of the case. The police description that was released after her disappearance said that she was last seen wearing a shirt with hearts on it and that she was just 4 feet 3 inches and only 55 pounds. This really paints a picture for just how small and potentially helpless she may have been. This investigation ended up prompting the question, how safe is TikTok really? In an amazing turn of events, LaCarica ended up being found and returned safe and sound, which is truly the best outcome for this really scary situation. I'm so glad that she ended up being okay and that this story has a happy ending. In our number 7 spot today, we have Arlene Martinez. Earlier this year, a TikTok user was away from the platform for a while, but it wasn't long before fans found out what happened and it was all over the news. A 20-year-old TikToker named Arlene was filming a video for the platform that was supposed to depict a fake kidnapping. The video was a larger production with at least 10 people involved in the filming on this day. Arlene was tied to a chair and was acting out a scene in which she was struggling with the people who had fake kidnapped her. In a really sad turn of events, for some unknown reason, a loaded handgun was used as a prop in the video, and it ended up firing, shooting and killing Arlene. There was actually a video posted of what the scene was like before this fatal moment. There has been a Facebook memorial page set up for people who love and miss her to go and share their memories with others. Moving on to our number 6 spot. Okay, so this one is about a person who posts on TikTok, but they are more successful on Vigo, which is an extremely similar app that is made by the same creators of TikTok. Earlier this year in January, a 21-year-old TikToker and Vigo star who goes by the name Jasmine on the apps went missing from Delhi, where she had traveled to for a performance. Jasmine's husband filed a missing persons report on January 7th. He said that she had left on December 31st for the performance and her phone was switched off on December 2nd and no one had heard from her since. Police quickly began their investigation and news began to spread of her disappearance. 10 days after the husband had filed the missing persons report, we finally heard some news. Jasmine actually ended up resurfacing and told a local channel that she had to run away because her husband and family-in-law tortured her. She said she never disappeared and that if you checked her husband's phone records, you would see that they had been in contact. This story is so crazy and has so many twists and turns in it. I'm really glad that Jasmine was able to get herself out of a dangerous situation and then she ended up being okay. Moving on to number 5 and our halfway mark. This story is a little bit different but is super interesting. In 2016, a woman came home to find that her husband had left the house that they shared with their 2 children. She tried as hard as she could to find him but was never able to find out where he went. She even filed the missing persons report with the police, but to no avail. Fast forward 3 years later to 2019 and a family relative thinks that she spots the husband in a video on TikTok. She of course quickly forwards it to the wife for confirmation. After watching the TikTok, she realizes that it is her husband and shows it to the police right away. The police ended up being able to track him down and confirm that it really was him. It's so crazy how the For You page literally helped solve a missing persons case. Moving on to number 4. In July of last year, 2 teenagers attempted an extremely dangerous TikTok video. Danish and Ashik were out for an evening walk when they arrived at a bridge. On the bridge was a group of people around their age who were performing different kinds of stunts and tricks to film for TikToks. The boys decided to join in on the fun, and Danish ended up climbing onto the railing of the bridge before diving into the water below while Ashik filmed. After he captured the video, Ashik followed his friend and climbed over the railing to jump in the water as well. Danish ended up being rescued immediately by local divers who luckily just happened to be in the area, but unfortunately Ashik could not be located, even by the authorities once they were called. Lots of people tried to help in the search but were unsuccessful. It's really sad that what was supposed to be harmless fun turned into something so sad and so scary. Moving on to number 3. Okay, this one is a little different again, but I swear it is worth it because this story is pretty wild. Earlier this year, a group of teenagers were on a beach on Seattle to play around and shoot some TikToks. They ended up spotting something and went to investigate. Of course, documenting the whole thing on video to later be edited into a TikTok. As they approached, they realized that it was a suitcase and they thought that there might be money inside. As they got closer to the suitcase, they realized it smelled super bad. One girl ended up opening up the suitcase and it shows something wrapped in a garbage bag. This is when the teens rightfully decided to call the police before investigating any further. The police came and searched the whole area and found another bag as well. It turns out that the bags actually contained 2 bodies. This is where the police investigation began and shortly after led police to the killer. The bodies were identified as couple Jessica Lewis and Austin Wenner, and it turns out that their landlord was responsible for their deaths. I guess it was some dispute over unpaid rent, which is really not a good enough reason to kill people. I'm glad these teens did the right thing and called the police so that justice could be brought for the families of the victims. In our number 2 spot today, we have Anna Maskovich, aka Ref Batch. For the last 10 years, Anna has uploaded upwards of 20 videos a day to YouTube and ended up joining TikTok when it became available. Her videos tend to be a bit bizarre and are either her angrily rambling in an unintelligible mixture of Russian and English that has people who are fluent in both absolutely stumped as to what she is saying. There are a few phrases that people have been able to make out that are along the lines of her being angry at and afraid of the government, as well as being afraid of being kidnapped. The other videos she uploads are her interpretive dancing, usually in the woods and looking directly into the camera. There's a dancer who has the same name as her, and her performances stopped sometime in late 2008, but there aren't any photos to verify that it's the same person for sure. People began to speculate that she may have some form of schizophrenia, but of course that's just an internet diagnosis. In 2014, someone who claimed to be her husband, who had other videos of her, explained that Anna had actually been missing after she had been taken away for speaking poorly of the Russian government. He said that she had been taken to some sort of psychiatric institute where they gave her psychotropic drugs in order to make her stop speaking out about the government. Well, this has yet to be proven for sure. It is a pretty crazy story and kind of insane to know that while he's missing his wife, he sees all of these videos of her. I hope we get a concrete answer to this someday because there really is a lot going on. There's a lot more to this story that I don't have time to cover, but the YouTuber Atrocity Guide has an amazing video on all of it that I would highly recommend you guys go and check out after you're done watching this video. In our number 1 spot today, we have Sarah Turney. Okay, so this one isn't a TikToker who went missing, but it is a missing persons case that TikTok helped close the case on, so please don't get mad at me because it is really interesting. Sarah Turney was 12 years old when her 17-year-old sister Alyssa went missing. This happened on May 17, 2001, and ever since that day, Sarah has known that it was her dad, Michael, who was Alyssa's stepfather. There was never anyone charged with Alyssa's disappearance and presumed death, but Sarah just knew. Sarah began to post on TikTok as well as her website dedicated to the case, all of the evidence that she had pointing towards her dad. Things like the fact that he would follow her around and record her, and that there was at least one hidden camera inside of the house. Things like how he was the one who unexpectedly picked her up from school and was the last one to see her on that day. You know, just general uncomfortable, creepy things. Michael also kept changing his story about that day and night, which just adds another layer of suspicion. In an amazing turn of events, Sarah's voice was finally heard, and in August of this year, her father ended up being charged with second-degree. Sarah of course plans to attend every court hearing and every day of trial when it begins. I couldn't be happier for her, and I really hope that she sees justice served for her and Alyssa. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the channel Violet First. This channel is an American family YouTube channel that was created by the matriarch of the family. Their content includes prank videos, vacation videos, and some videos where they open and unbox fan mail. The channel has 563,000 subscribers, and their most viewed video has over 4 million views. They were a really popular YouTube channel that usually posted once or twice a week, but the last video they uploaded was on Christmas Day in 2018, so where did they go? Well, it seems as though they decided to stop making videos. Some theories as to why they might have stopped have to do with their struggle with demonetization on the platform, but other theories suggest that the son, William, who was featured in most of the videos, was just getting too old and didn't want to be in the videos anymore. Both of those are pretty valid reasons for leaving the platform, but it is also possible that they just wanted to explore other avenues. There's always the chance that they could come back because their channel is still active, as well as their Instagram and Twitter, but I guess we'll all just have to wait and see. Moving on to number 9, we have the user Cobanermanny. His name is Coban, and he was a gamer channel where he mostly played Sonic and Mario games. He has over 1 million subscribers, but his last upload was on May 13th of 2018. So where did he go? Well, although he was pretty private about his personal life, he actually did let us know what happened and where he went. On July 16th of 2018, he let us all know that he had left YouTube and actually ended up going to a mental health facility because of some of his personal struggles that he was going through, and he also revealed that he had been diagnosed with autism. He said he thought about making more videos, but it felt like it was too much pressure because he simply just isn't ready. Since his disappearance from YouTube, he has sometimes been featured on other channels and had a few YouTube stories, but he mostly remains inactive. I'm super glad that he was able to recognize that he needed help with his mental health and that he made the steps to address it, because that could not have been easy. I hope that whatever he is up to now, he is feeling better and happy. In our number 8 spot, we have the GWR Studios. This was a channel that mostly made videos pointing out little mistakes made in the Thomas the Tank Engine series. It was pretty wholesome content that gained him close to 200,000 subscribers, as well as 9 million views on his last video, which was posted on November 28th, 2017. With such a successful video being left as his last one, it has me wondering, where did he disappear to? Well, the internet is filled with cyber sleuths who can figure out a lot of stuff. It turns out that he actually started a new channel called Neo Auto. This channel is basically just a car channel. I don't know anything about cars, so I won't even attempt to dive into anything further about that. After finding this out, I was glad he was safe, but then I had to ask, why would you leave such a successful channel to start from scratch? Well, we don't exactly have confirmation on it, but it is thought that his original channel might have been flagged for copyright since it features only content from movies and cartoons. If a video has copyright in it, you can't make money off of it, so it's very possible that he needed to create a new channel so that he would be able to use it as a source of income. It is also entirely possible that he just didn't want to make that type of content anymore, or perhaps it's a combination of the two things, or something entirely different. I really don't know for sure, but I'm glad that his disappearance from his channel had a pretty alright conclusion. In our number 7 spot, we have Miss Hannah Minx. Hannah was a YouTuber with over 600,000 subscribers who is known for her anime look, her cosplay, and her videos on Japanese culture. In 2013, Hannah just stopped posting on any social media and totally disappeared. She ended up filming a movie called Sleigh Bells that was released in 2018, but even the director and one of the co-stars have said that after production finished, she just totally vanished. They said that the horror community in LA is pretty tight-knit, so it's unusual for them to have not heard from her. Which leaves us all with the question, where did she go and why did she leave? Well, it is rumored that she originally left the YouTube platform because she was in a legal dispute with her manager at the time and ended up losing the rights to the Hannah Minx name, but that has yet to be confirmed. The other rumor as to why she never returned to any sort of internet fame is because during her hiatus, she found love and ended up just moving on and starting a family. While there isn't any concrete answer on why she left or where she's been, I hope she's doing well. Heading on down to number 6, we have Daisy Brown. Daisy Brown was a popular horror web series that followed a girl named Daisy raising a monster named Alan that her father created before leaving her alone. There are about 35 videos uploaded over a little over a year, with the final video being posted in August of 2018 and receiving over 1 million views. The content was strange, but very interesting and had fans really invested. The nice thing about this disappearance is that the last video was literally titled Final Video, which gave fans an idea that she would be leaving the platform. But who is Daisy and what happened to her? Well, as it turns out, she just ended the series. It really is that simple. Daisy is actually a woman named Julia Dapper, and she said she created the series as a way to experiment with and explore storytelling. She made the series while she was in school full-time, which is quite the feat. While the story of Daisy Brown might be over, Julia is still doing well and creating content and can be found on TikTok under the username YeetPolice8. That's such a good TikTok name, I'm so jealous. In our number 5 spot today we have Beastie. Beastie is a gaming YouTuber with almost 800,000 subscribers. He uploaded himself playing video games like Red Dead Redemption and Last of Us. His last upload was almost 4 months ago now, and it was him playing the Ghost of Tsushima. I know that 4 months ago isn't a long time, but he was uploading around 20 videos a month before he just fell off the platform. His Instagram and Twitter also haven't been posted on in a while, which makes us all wonder, where did Beastie go? Well, while I'm not sure why he hasn't been uploading videos, the good news is that he is still active and has been streaming with other gamers. Making YouTube videos takes a lot of time and effort, and it's entirely possible that maybe something came up and he hasn't had the time, or maybe he just doesn't want to. Some people believe that he also may live somewhere in Texas, and with the recent Hurricane Laura that saw damage in both Louisiana and Texas, it could be possible that he is dealing with the aftermath of that, but it truly is just speculation at this point. I hope that he is okay and that we see some new videos go up on the Beastie channel very soon. In our number 4 spot we have SSTEAS. They were a YouTuber who made EAS or Emergency Alert System videos. Last year their channel was deleted and the EAS community was shocked to hear of his death, and an outpouring of support came to him and his family. But things quickly took a turn just a few months later. As it turns out, SSTEAS actually faked his own death, which is crazy. It's super sketchy to do that, so it had people wondering what actually happened to him since his channel was now deleted. Well, in an even crazier turn of events, he is actually in jail. I guess he must have faked his own death so that people wouldn't know what actually happened to him. I can understand wanting privacy, but it's still pretty crazy for everyone to have just been lied to about something like that. It looks like he'll be in jail for around the next 15 years or so, but I obviously don't know what happened super personally, so it's possible it could turn into a shorter or a longer sentence. In our number 3 spot we have Red Keymon. Red Keymon was another gaming YouTube channel that mainly focused on playing Grand Theft Auto. He did a lot of stunt and fail videos of the game and quickly became quite popular with almost 2 million followers. The final video came on April 29th, 2015 and gained almost 7 million views, but then he totally disappeared. Fans were freaking out because it's obviously super strange for someone to have disappeared at the height of their success, and rumors were flying. Luckily in 2017 he commented on that last video from 2015 and gave fans some much needed answers. He explained that he meant to just take a break, but the longer he was gone the harder it was to come back. He thanked everyone for all of their support and explained that he didn't want to say goodbye because he hates saying it. He ended off the message saying that he's unsure if he'll ever come back, but that he hopes to. Well, Red Keymon, I know there's a lot of people who also hope that you do, but I think that everyone was just happy to know what happened and know that you were totally safe and sound. In our number 2 spot we have FPS Russia. This firearms and explosives channel began in 2010 and it features Kyle Myers playing a character named Dmitry, who is supposed to be a man from Moscow. The channel was extremely popular with over 6 million subscribers, but the upload stopped in April of 2016. There was never any official statements made on the channel before it became inactive, so fans were wondering what could have happened. Well, it's a doozy. In January of 2013, one of the channel's producers, Keith Ratliff, was actually found dead in the gun store that he owned. There still isn't a lot known about what happened to him, but of course this caused the rest of the channel's team to need to take a bit of a break. This was all the way in 2013 though, and they eventually began uploading again, but their videos just weren't the same. A few months later, Kyle's home ended up being raided by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives under the suspicion of him being in possession of an illegal explosive. After the raid, the channel definitely began uploading videos less frequently, and with a hiatus from April 2013 to January of 2014, but there was still activity the rest of the time, and the channel kept growing. In April of 2016, the last FPS Russia video was uploaded, and everyone wondered, what happened? Well, for a while, Kyle was part of a separate YouTube channel as well as a podcast, but was having some troubles with firearms and explosives licensing, which is why a lot of people think he stopped the FPS Russia channel. Near the end of 2017, Kyle ended up being arrested because there were illegal drugs found in his PO box, and his home was raided and a bunch of his firearms ended up being seized. Kyle ended up being sentenced in June of 2019 to 2 months in prison as well as 2 years of probation. He ended up serving his time and has since been released and has actually been back on the podcast, which is called Painkiller Already. In our number 1 spot, we have Secure Team 10, and hold on because this one is a wild one. Secure Team 10 was created by a man named Tyler Glockner and was YouTube's largest underground reporting channel. He posted insane content almost every single day, and it honestly became popular for people to debunk his footage. Like the time someone showed how in an interview video, Tyler had just distorted his voice a bit, and it was revealed that he was actually just interviewing himself. Tyler began paying people off to stop debunking his videos, and apparently paid people to dislike the videos that spoke bad about him. After this, his upload schedule began to become more inconsistent, and rumors began to spread that he had some sort of drug or alcohol problem, which he of course denied. Then we saw a time where no uploads were happening, and everyone was wondering what happened to him. Because of the kind of content he posted, people seriously thought that he might have been kidnapped by the government or something like that. But he suddenly released a video where he wanted to explain what happened. The video was basically just him explaining that he was having a hard couple of months and that he stopped posting videos because he was working on a documentary. He then said that he began getting threats and cease and desist orders to shut his channel down. He goes on to explain that one day he fell asleep, and the next thing he remembers is waking up in his car with a police officer standing outside of it, just randomly charging him with a DUI, even though he claims that he's barely ever had a sip of alcohol. He then goes on to say that a short while later he was arrested again for domestic abuse, but claims he was innocent. This was quickly debunked when the police dashcam footage was released, and it showed him crashing into a pole after driving under the influence. And you can also see him failing a field sobriety test, and he did end up getting charged for both of the things he claimed he did not do. I am not a judge or a jury, so I truly have no idea, but I'm just telling you what happened. Eventually, all of the videos were removed from his channel, which had people once again wondering what happened. But as it turns out, he actually stole his logo from another artist, and it was on every single one of his videos. One of the channels that used to debunk all of his videos ended up buying the rights to the logo from the artist, so they were able to basically claim his entire channel and all of his merch and his Patreon, and they were the ones who actually removed the videos from the channel. Starting off this list at number 10, we have Kenny Beach. His real name is Kenneth Lee Veach, and he was an American YouTuber who posted videos of his hiking trips. He only ended up uploading 5 videos in total, but interacted a lot with other hiking channels, which helped him quickly gain popularity. Kenny was very proud of the toll his amazing and difficult hikes took on his body. He even said it took him 3 days to recover from his hikes usually, and that sometimes his toenails would even turn black and fall off. Near the end of 2014, Kenny posted a comment on a video that explained that while he normally enters every single cave he finds, when he found one that was shaped like an M and began to enter it, his whole body began to vibrate, and the closer he got, the feeling became more intense. The feeling really freaked him out, so he ended up getting out of there as quickly as possible. After this comment, tons of other users encouraged him to try and find the cave again and fight the eerie feeling and go inside, and to make a video of it. Kenny did exactly this and made a video that ended up being his most viewed video, titled M Cave Hike. Unfortunately, he was unable to find the same cave again. Viewers were upset that he was unable to find it, and they quickly started pushing for him to look again, but there were a few comments begging Kenny to leave it alone and not to go back, fearing that he would be putting himself in a dangerous situation. On November 10th, 2014, Kenny set out once again to try and find the cave and explained to his family that he would just be going on a short overnight trip. Unfortunately, Kenny never returned home and the search began. His cell phone was discovered at the opening of an abandoned mine shaft, which many viewers thought they recognized from his M Cave hike video. Unfortunately, since then the trail has gone cold and Kenny still has yet to be located. While it is extremely unlikely, I really hope that he is still out there somewhere, and hopefully one day we get the answers we're looking for and his family will get their much needed closure. Moving on, in our number 9 spot we have the YouTube user Bill Smith. Bill Smith was part of the QAnon movement and posted a lot of videos that he claimed were secrets that the government doesn't want us to know about. He was an extremely frequent poster, so it raised alarm bells when he just all of a sudden stopped posting videos. He never gave any indication that he wanted to stop posting videos, and his last video honestly made it seem like he had every intention to continue, with him saying he will fight with everything he has and that he was all in. There are a lot of theories about where he could have gone that include him being investigated by Homeland Security, or if there were any truth to his claims, potentially being taken into custody. People also believe that if his channel did become active again, that it would be the government covering their tracks and uploading on his behalf. It's a lot of speculation, but at the end of the day, who is Bill Smith and where did he go? Moving on to number 8, we have the user Paranormal Lana, who also was known by the name Alana G. She was a pretty popular YouTuber with over 50,000 subscribers and mostly covered content that was either paranormal, spooky in some way, or real events. On September 3rd, 2015, her channel was just suddenly deleted, as well as all of her social media accounts. This quickly became a huge topic of conversation among other YouTubers who were in the same genre as Alana. One person began to point out that just prior to her disappearance from the internet, she had posted a series of tweets explaining that she had a pretty serious stalker incident, and she was having to change how her social medias were being managed. Although many cyber sleuths have looked into where she could have gone, no one is exactly certain of what happened to her. If she really did have a stalker, maybe disappearing was the only thing she could do. I just hope that she is safe wherever she ended up. Moving on down to number 7, we have Shima Luan. Shima Luan was an American YouTuber who worked for the channel Super Planet Dolan. It was an animated channel, and Shima was one of the most active characters on the channel and was well liked by those who watched. In 2016, in a video called The Future of Planet Dolan, they explained that Shima had suddenly fallen out of contact with the other people on the channel, but the last time they spoke, she was safe, so they didn't suspect anything bad. Of course, a lot of viewers didn't believe this and began to speculate that this was the crew trying to cover up her disappearance. In February of this year, a YouTuber called Scarce Theater made a video taking a look into Shima's disappearance, and one of the members of the Dolan crew left a comment that may have cleared some things up for us. The comment read, "It's sort of an unsolvable mystery to those who don't know her, because to solve it in a satisfying way publicly, we'd have to invade the actress who played Shima's personal life on a public level. No one who walks away from a job in entertainment wants to be dragged out in the public and shown around. That would be ghoulish. In respect to the privacy of others, all I can say is that this is one of the better videos on the topic. Everyone else fell into trappings of teasing ideas of conspiracy and horror. Truth is, we always had trouble getting folks to separate the cartoons from the actors." This definitely leads us to believe that Shima had her reasons for leaving the channel, but it truly is none of our business. It's easy to forget that some of our favorite creators are also real people who deserve to have their lives kept private, if they so choose. While we miss Shima's content, it's good to know that she is safe. Coming in at number 6, we have the YouTubers who went by Mac Adventures. They were a father and son channel with a destination of Area 51. In 2016, they had posted a video of them finally arriving at the Area 51 border. As they arrive at the border, a couple of agents in full camo gear pull up to them in a truck, get out with guns in their hands, and basically ask them to leave the premises. After the video was posted, they released one more video and then an extended version of their original Area 51 video, and then they went totally silent. All of their social media were blown up with people believing that the Area 51 video was fake, which has led some people to believe that they just decided they didn't want to continue creating content because of the negativity, but that's not what everyone believed. A lot of people believed that maybe they had just gone back to Area 51 and tried to get further into the closed off area than last time and ended up getting arrested, or maybe even worse. After a few years of people speculating and wondering what happened to them, last year there was finally an update. The son of the duo ended up doing a YouTube live stream where it was finally explained that they had just decided to take a break, and it ended up becoming more of a permanent decision than they had originally planned on. While this is sort of an anticlimactic ending, it's definitely the best outcome that could have happened. At our halfway mark in our number 5 spot, we have the user Kev Jumba, whose real name is Kevin Wu. Kevin was one of the first YouTube stars joining the platform all the way back in 2006, and by 2008 he was the 3rd most subscribed to channel. Kevin used his YouTube success to go on a season of The Amazing Race, as well as even landing a role in a Hollywood film, Revenge of the Green Dragons. He slowly began to post videos less frequently and eventually made his channel entirely private, moving his focus more to the other aspects of his career. Things took a turn though in 2015 when he kind of just entirely disappeared for a while. People began to get really worried about Kevin, and rumors began to swirl about what could have happened and where he could have gone. Luckily, we eventually heard from Kevin again, but in an unfortunate turn of events, he explained that the reason for his disappearance is because he had been hit by a car and suffered some pretty serious injuries. The accident left him with a broken spine and a collapsed lung, as well as a number of psychological injuries. He has since been focusing on his recovery and credits his dad for really helping nurse him back to health. While it is obviously extremely traumatic and upsetting that he had to go through this near-death experience, we're just glad that he was able to make it through and recover. Continuing on to number 4, we have Spy Kitten TV, who was also known as Dasha. Dasha made a lot of videos about the Illuminati and people that she suspected were members. Her last video was posted in July of 2018, and while all of her social media profiles remain up and active, no one has heard from her or seen a post since. It is possible that she just decided to leave the internet life behind, but it is kind of curious that she didn't leave any sort of farewell. People have speculated that she was exposing too many secrets and ended up being kidnapped or silenced by the Illuminati, while others believe that she met some sort of ill fate in another way. I'm sure those in her personal life know what happened to her, and while I wish someone could give us some sort of update, I suppose it really is none of our business unless they decide they want to share. Hopefully she's out there somewhere, and maybe someday we'll know what happened and where she went. Coming in at number 3, we have Marina Joyce. Marina was a popular makeup and fashion YouTuber and had a large 2.1 million following. People began noticing that something just wasn't right about her behavior in her new videos, feeling like she was more distracted. This led them to believe that she could be scared or in some kind of danger. Eventually people noticed a gun in the background of one of her videos, bruises on her arms, and people said she wasn't blinking as much, and even swore that they heard her whisper, "Help me." In 2019, Marina ended up going missing for 10 days. While she was missing, her boyfriend was tweeting that she was safe, even though the police had an active investigation into her whereabouts, and he tried to shut down any claims that he was acting suspiciously, even though it's super suspicious to say that a missing person is safe when no one knows where they are. After it was confirmed that Marina had been found, she tweeted that she never actually went missing, even though, like I mentioned before, the police were actively looking for her. She claimed that her suspicious boyfriend had been taking care of her. There are a lot of speculations about what happened and why she disappeared for that time, but she claims that she is not in any sort of toxic relationship and just wants her fans to watch her videos and stop worrying. Hopefully she really is okay and fans were just reading into things that weren't actually anything, but it's a super bizarre situation. Continuing on to number 2, we have Kaylee Elise. Kaylee was a true crime YouTuber who covered things like missing people and unsolved crimes. In 2019, we did get a heads up from Kaylee that she would unfortunately be leaving the platform due to some health concerns that she was facing, and in a live stream goodbye, she assured fans that she would keep her videos up for everyone to continue enjoying. This is all fine and well, but people got very concerned a few months later. In December of 2019, her entire channel was deleted. It caused a lot of fans to worry about what happened to her and if her health concerns worsened after she left the channel. Unfortunately, there hasn't been an update this year on what happened or what led to the deletion of her channel, but some people have begun re-uploading her videos so that people can continue to enjoy the content. Wherever she is, I hope she's able to take care of her health concerns and focus on herself. Finishing off this list in our number 1 spot, we have the strange disappearance of Nicholas Sonderegger. Nick was a fairly small but growing YouTuber with 2,000 subscribers and was featured on the YouTube channel Explore With Us. Nick was 28 at the time of his disappearance and was last seen on September 7th, 2018 around 2:30 a.m. He had heard a female screaming outside of his home in Salton Beach, California, and went to investigate. After he failed to return home that night, he was reported missing the next morning. Some of his clothing that he had left in was found by the search parties, but it is still unknown what happened to him or where he could be. It's really upsetting that he obviously went to go and help someone who seemed to be in despair, and it led to trouble for him. It certainly shows his courage and bravery. There's a $10,000 reward for any information that leads to his whereabouts, so if any viewers have information, please contact the Imperial County Sheriff's Office. Someone somewhere has to know something about where he could be, and I hope that one day his family gets answers and closure.